Good afternoon. Let's call this meeting to order of the Mount San Jacinto Community College District Board of Trustees meeting. We're meeting at the Temecula office on Motorcar Parkway. The time is 4:03. Item 1.2 is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand, and would Trustee Smith lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're now moving on to a very special moment. It is the oath of office for our student trustee. Superintendent President Dr. Schultz will administer the oath of office to our new student trustee, Aaron Achitsky. Now, can you please help us with your last name pronunciation? I didn't do that bad then, Achitsky. Okay, well, welcome aboard, and please go out to the front and get in front of Dr. Schultz for your oath. It's easy.
Foreign and domestic, and so on. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to Congratulations.
Student trustee Aaron Achitsky. Welcome. Item 1.4, roll call, establishment of quorum.
Trustee Ashley.
Present.
Trustee Carpenter. Trustee Corona.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Trustee Silva.
Here.
Student trustee Achitsky.
Present.
Academic Senate Anjanette Oberg.
Here.
Classified Senate Ed Saucedo.
Present.
Student Government Association Lamari Oliver.
Here.
Thank you. Item 1.5, approval of minutes, regular meeting of May 14th, 2026. We recommend the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of May 14th. Do we have a motion to approve?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve.
Chair, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote. And you might need to show our new trustee around a little bit. Trustee Smith?
Aye. Aye. There you go.
Thank you. Okay. Trustees, please vote. Aye.
Aye.
1.6, revision, adoption, ordering of the agenda. It's recommended that the board approve the agenda as it is ordered now. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Chair, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote. Aye.
Aye.
Item 2, comments of individual groups, delegations limited to closed session items only. Public comments are limited to closed session agenda items and shall be no more than 3 minutes per speaker and 20 minutes per subject unless further time is granted. And we do not have any requests to speak. So with that, we will move on to item 3, closed session. 3.1, closed session notice. Pursuant to all applicable education codes, government codes, and recently enacted statutes, the Board of Trustees will meet in closed session to discuss and/or act on the following matters. 3.2, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation. 3.3, audit by California State Auditor's Office. 3.4, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Item 3.5, conference with labor negotiator, California State Employees Association, CSEA. Item 3.6, conference with labor negotiator, California Teachers Association. Item 3.7, conference with labor negotiator, Communication Workers of America, CWA. And 3.8, we will reconvene and report out if we have any information to report out. So with that, we will now adjourn to closed session. Welcome back, everybody. We have no report out of closed session, which is 3.8. So we're going to move on to item 4, comments of individual groups, delegations limited to agenda items. We have none for public comment. So we will now move on to item 5, reports. Oral reports are limited to 5 minutes per constituent group. A timer will be set. 5.1, board president and trustees. We will begin with trustee Smith. The floor is yours.
Thank you, trustee Ashley. First, I'd like to recognize everyone who helped out organize the graduation ceremony at Pechanga. I know it took a great deal of work and all 4 commencements were outstanding. You know, I did have someone after the ceremony ask me if it was long days, and I told them, yeah, it was. But I did remind them that all of those that crossed that stage had a lot of long days to accomplish their achievement. So we should all be happy to give the graduates their due respect. That was the way I felt about that. I also attended the GED graduation at the San Jacinto Campus Theater, and I can tell you there was no lack of pride when those students entered the room either. You could literally feel the excitement. It was great. Even without all the glamour and glimmer of the event center, it was an outstanding event. And my final graduation I attended was at San Jacinto High, and I was fortunate to even get a photo with the graduating middle college. And that class has doubled since last year. So the support that's went on for that and the accomplishments of that, I want to make sure everyone has their kudos what went on, because that was something to see. And finally, I just want to thank all the staff for what they do with all the graduation celebrations that I went on. It was nice to see, and you realize that the opportunity that all of these people had to fulfill a dream. So thank you all. That's it.
Thank you, trustee Corona.
Since our last report, I had the honor of attending the 4 Mount San Jacinto college graduation ceremonies from May 20th to the 21st, where altogether over 3,000 students received diplomas and certifications. I appreciate the presence of all board members who were present and extend a special thank you to everyone who helped make these celebrations successful. Also, congratulations to our superintendent, Roger Schultz, on his 18 years of outstanding service to MSJC. A lot of graduations. I mean, just yesterday, my 6-year-old had her kindergarten graduation. And then in the afternoon, I attended another one at Liberty High School. So a lot of graduations. So congratulations to all those that are graduating at all the different levels. On May 26th, I attended the Paris Union High School District Superintendent's Facilities and Bond Advisory Committee meeting at Paloma Valley High School. On June 13th, my family and I will be attending a special retirement celebration at the Temecula campus. I am still working on selecting my costume for the occasion. Happy Pride Month. Happy Juneteenth. I look forward to also attending the Juneteenth celebration at Lake Elsinore Storm on June 19th. I also hope everyone enjoys the FIFA World Cup and NBA Finals, both of which are providing great entertainment. To all faculty and staff, to administrators, students, and families enjoying summer break, okay? Enjoy your summer break. Have a safe and restful summer. Take time to recharge. Take time to recharge and return refreshed and stronger than ever. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Corona. Trustee Silva.
Thank you, Chair Ashley. So good afternoon. My remarks this afternoon concern the retirement of my friend, Dr. Roger Schultz. Although I will have an opportunity to provide more comprehensive comments at a later time, I wanted to place these thoughts into the official record today. Throughout my years of service to this board and in prior capacities, I have always been impressed by Dr. Schultz and his willingness to go above and beyond what is asked of him in support of student success. I had the privilege of knowing Dr. Schultz professionally long before serving on this board. And over the years, we have developed a genuine friendship. He became someone I would often seek out just to catch up or ask, how's the family? Even before my time on the board, I knew Dr. Schultz as a true go-getter, always moving, always engaged, and always making an impact. Whether it was at a 3C2A meeting or convention during the old Foothill Conference days or at community events, Dr. Schultz brought an energy that naturally drew people in. He is the kind of person you'd want to be around because his enthusiasm is infectious and his positivity leaves a lasting impression. What has always embodied Dr. Schultz is the definition of a humble servant leader. Every difficult decision, every long meeting, every challenge was approached with student success at the center. Through difficult conversations and challenging moments, he led with integrity, professionalism, and steady commitment to this district and its students. And perhaps most importantly, he did it while maintaining the respect of his colleagues and the appreciation of the community and the love of his family and friends. Now, after years of service, sacrifice, and leadership, you finally get the opportunity to enjoy one of more of life's important moments. No more missing birthday parties because of meetings in Sacramento or obligations pulling you in 100 different directions. You've earned the opportunity to slow down a little, spend time with family, and enjoy the next chapter, of which I'm really proud that you're able to do that. There are so many, I don't think people understand or appreciate, there are so many executives that they work to the end and then there's nothing left. And I'm hoping that this opportunity will provide you more of that, more chance to spend time with family. But don't be a stranger. You're just up the hill from me. I look forward to running into you at Ace Hardware in Cherry Valley or Do It Best Center or Home Depot in Beaumont. I'm incredibly proud of everything you've accomplished, but I'm even more grateful to call you a friend. Best of luck in your future pursuits, my friend. You have earned it. And with that, I would like to wish everyone a happy and safe National German Chocolate Cake Day. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Silva. Trustee Carpenter.
Good evening, everyone. Fresh off the airplane from Sacramento, so I'm in airport close, but glad that I got here in time to be at closed session. I'd like to also say that the best part of this job or this role as trustee is graduation, and that is what I look forward to, and what I'm always in awe of. You know, from the youngest being 16, I think the oldest 76 this year, and 2 days. And one day I didn't attend because I was attending my grandson's 5th grade graduation, which is the first graduation. Then it was MSJC's graduation. Then it was my niece's graduation. And then it just went on and on. But that day is just epitomizes all and everything that you have done and they have done to come to that day and graduate. And the smiles and the joy, just the joy, the tears, they all kind of touched my heart. And so I'm always grateful for that time of year. And I look forward to the next one and our new crop that'll graduate. Other than that, yes, Roger, even when I was in Sacramento, your name came up several times, and what are you going to do and where are you going to go and how much they're going to miss you. The relationships that you have created in Sacramento, statewide, locally, and regionally, we're truly there's a gap. We're going to miss you. I'm not yet ready to give my final thoughts, so I have another meeting coming up. A happy Pride Month and happy Juneteenth, and I will conclude my report here and then continue it next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have a very short report tonight. First of all, I'd just like to again welcome our new student trustee, Aaron. Welcome aboard. I hope that you do a great job. You have big shoes to fill. Your predecessor was a very strong student trustee, and I'm sure you'll do a great job too. Next, I'd like to just say, again, our graduations are consistently high quality. I thoroughly enjoyed the setting, the ceremony. Our students, the way they dressed up their caps is always a surprise and always fun. And what I loved about our graduation is even though our students dress up their regalia in ways to individualize themselves, they don't steal the show. There's that balance there where they might make themselves look individualized, but they understand they're there for in a dignified ceremony. And it was really great that it remains that way. And so I'm proud of our graduates and all their hard work. I'd like to, and I know that there's so many people that worked extremely hard for graduation, but Selena, can you put your hand up a little bit? Selena Paez Mendez. Selena, we know that we know that you're the boss behind the scenes. And, and you got Jeremy supporting you as well. But thank you for your continued hard work. It shows. There's people telling us not to jaywalk right from the parking structure. And true story, I'm going down. I go, I know you're here to tell me not to jaywalk, but I'm going across that street. And he goes, it's all right. Some other people were jaywalking and I yelled at him and he turned around and it was Dr. Schultz.
Very slow jaywalks. I'm sorry to tell them.
Did you jaywalk to one of the graduation ceremonies, Dr. Schultz?
All of them.
Anyway, I love our graduations. I love the air conditioning. It was 96 outside when everyone was going to Paris High's graduation when I left work today. And they were just like getting big straw hats and they're already sweating and they were hydrating all day. And I'm like, pachanga, baby. All right. Finally, I would just like to tell everyone to please enjoy Pride Month, celebrate Pride Month. Juneteenth, it's June as well. Let's enjoy that day off. I know our classified staff have that day off, even if our teachers are off for the summer, and well earned. And please enjoy that. And with that, I will conclude my remarks. And Aaron, here's your first opportunity to say a couple of words. If you don't have a report prepared, you can just introduce yourself. And if you do, go for it.
Hi guys, I'm Aaron. This is my second year at MSJC. I'm pursuing nursing, and I'm really grateful for you guys giving me the opportunity to be your student trustee. And I want to give a very big thank you to everyone here for giving me such a warm welcome into this environment. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you very much. We'll now move on to, we have our Student Government Association Report 5.3. You are up, sir.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lamar Oliver. Thank you for having me. I do have a board report, but first thing off, happy Pride Month and Juneteenth. Let's get started on the board report. So yes, today we have an event at Menifee campus. It's going to be the casino night. And as well, to end off the academic year, we're having on June 17th, our movie night. This will be a Juneteenth movie that will be happening at 7 p.m. at the Menifee location as well. SGA will be holding a summer retreat on July 29th, 2026. So this is our retreat where us members join together, plan out our goals, initiatives, and events for the fall semester. This will be an important opportunity for everybody, like the Senate and the Executive Board, to establish objectives. As well as I would like to revisit the concernings regarding to the makerspace. There was a raised public comments last month. We heard that students were told that they were manipulated into activism, which wasn't seen to be true for many students. They felt like they weren't being taken seriously on this matter. Given the significance of the makerspace to many students, I believe it's important to continue discussing this and pushing this forward. But thank you for having me again. That concludes my report.
Thank you. 5.4, Academic Senate. Dr. Oberg.
Aloha, everyone. While we celebrate Pride Month as a nation in June, our college actually celebrates it in October. So I welcome all of you to join us in our Pride events that we'll host in October as well. But happy Pride Month throughout California and the nation as a whole. Congratulations and welcome to our new SGA president, Lamari, and Aaron, our trustee. I just want to share with you some of the things that we did in Senate to close out our spring semester. We are off contract now. Senate will not be hosting any meetings until the fall. In our final meetings, we did start building out our SharePoint access and our 360 drive. So similar to kind of the Presidential Leadership Academy concept, where a lot of our knowledge lives with people. And so we're trying to actually kind of codify that information for Senate and establish a permanent record that can pass on from Senate to Senate. We updated the syllabus checklist, which will be available for faculty to have in the fall to guide their syllabi construction. We updated the chair election policies and conducted chair elections. I'm finalizing the list and I'll be distributing that to Jeremy's office and the deans soon in the coming couple of weeks. We also developed and approved a master calendar. We're adding some of the events that we discussed, and that will include flex workshops and chair roundtables. We did approve a Rising Scholars work group, and we've already put that group in touch with Classifieds work group as well, so that we can continue to research our opportunities, since our district does house a couple of facilities and we can best support some of the justice impacted students. We implemented a Senate AI policy. And so we are asking any AI use that for documents used in Senate or with proposals submitted to Senate, that they disclose and cite their source for AI. So we're hoping that's a model for the rest of the college. We also established an equivalency committee work group that will be doing some work in the fall to review our processes. And then we met with HR. We did a review of the hiring committee with some union members, as well as our appointment secretary. Had some great conversations, talked about some strategies that the EEOAC committee could utilize, and we'll continue those dialogues in the coming semester. And then we have some summer projects we're working on. We're hoping to convene a group to work on researching joint hiring models that could help us revisit our model. We're meeting with Brandon next week to talk about some data analysis and how faculty can support the VAR process that was established through the chancellor's office. And then maybe we can start working on developing the participatory governance training that we talked about with Jeremy and Roger in one of our earlier meetings. And so that's kind of where we finished out, and we'll look forward to giving you introductions to our new Senate body that takes office July 1st at our final board meeting later this month. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. 5.5 Classified Senate, Ed Saucedo.
Thank you, President Ashley. I don't have a very long report. Just looking back over May with the employee recognition, graduation, classified employee week. It was all, fun to participate in all those different events and see you all participate as well. And the only thing we have is looking forward to next year already and how we can make it bigger and better. That's really all we have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Move now to 5.6 Executive Cabinet.
Mike has nothing. I just want to give another shout out to Selena because she loves this when she gets the public recognition, which is why most people don't see her on graduation day because she is running around. But thank you for all the work you've done on that, Selena. There's so much work on the back end as far as agreements go and random last minute changes and requirements from the host and some people there, which were interesting. But thanks for all your adjustments with that. We're getting feedback that people really enjoyed the sandwiches the first day that were provided for the employees. So we're going to have more of those. I believe Selena's got the recipe, so we'll get you guys all that. But other than that, when the only complaint you hear about is it was a great day. So you guys were there. We were there for all day. It was really good. So
The bread to meat and cheese ratio.
the bread were they calling it bread? I don't recall. Roger was calling it stone, I think, is what he was doing. Roger was not happy. We got him Del Taco though. We really did. And he recovered just nicely. So no, great job, Selena. We appreciate all the work you did on that and the logistics with it. Just a quick update. So summer, our 8-week sessions started. 6-week sessions will start in, like 2 weeks because that's how it works. So just to give you some numbers quickly, our face-to-face sections that have launched so far, we're looking at 63% filled. Last year at this time, they were actually at almost 70% filled. So we're down for the face-to-face. And then the hybrid and online, they're sitting at 99% filled. So that's where we were at for summer. So it looks really good.
Question to Brandon, if you were a recent graduate and can you still take the summer school or is it too late? Can you still register?
Oh, we let everybody come in, so it's fine. Yeah. If there's room available. Now there's not going to be much room available for online or hybrid because they're 99% filled. But yeah, they can just, if you apply, go through the registration process. We have ongoing enrollment. So there's not like a cutoff like a Cal State or UC where, hey, you didn't apply in time. If there's classes open, you just fill out the CCC apply and go to town.
Thank you.
Did you recently graduate, Hollister? Did you want to take more?
No, I went to the graduation and one of the students that was sitting next to me, he asked me.
They absolutely can, anytime.
All right, and I just want to share that we've been highlighted by our regional strong workforce group, the IEDRC, on their website. They did a publication about our brand new welding program. So they're highlighting a student who is 18 years old, completed 18 weeks of class, already has a job using welding in modular homes. And is sharing just how much that's already enriched her life and the great things that are to come in that industry. So just a really cool thing to see a program that launched only a semester ago, already having that outcome with students getting jobs. It's a fantastic thing.
Okay, and I just want to give a quick update of some of the recruitments that we've been working on in HR. As Dr. Oberg mentioned earlier, since the last board meeting, Human Resources has had a chance to meet with faculty representatives from Senate, the union, and the EEO Advisory Committee to discuss the recruitment process as it relates to faculty positions. And we look forward to continuing the discussions for continued improvement. Based on the discussion, I'd like to bring forward some information pertaining to full-time faculty recruitments for the 2026-2027 academic year. In accordance with the Administrative Procedure 7120, this year HR posted 17 advertisements to recruit for 22 faculty positions, which were approved by the board last November. HR staff received and screened 1,155 applications, held 50 committee meetings, including interviews, and processed 18 selected candidates with 4 still pending finalization of the recruitment. Most of these selected candidates will come before you all for final approval at the next June board meeting. Also in compliance with AP 7120, the district has defaulted to conducting first-level interview committees via Zoom, while still allowing committees to request for an in-person format to the area vice president. For our full-time faculty recruitments this year, 7 committees requested in-person first-level interviews, and all 7 were approved by the vice president, ensuring all requests were treated in a fair and equitable fashion. I'd like to recognize the hard work that goes on behind the scenes, as most of the work in HR and other administrative departments is not public-facing and is usually of a confidential nature. Not only did HR staff screen 1,155 applications for faculty, but they continue to recruit and process applications for leadership and classified positions. I acknowledge and thank the work of all of our HR staff for supporting all of the recruitment efforts. Specifically, I'd like to acknowledge Heather Kammer, Brittany Sander, Juna Fernando Stevens, and Lisbeth Suniga, all HR analysts who contribute to those recruitment efforts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. That, I think, just leaves one.
And I too will be brief, but in following up on the theme and the update on the makerspace, we had paused that while we studied alternatives. However, we learned this week that staff unilaterally packed up their makerspace at the Menifee campus without any direction or consultation from instructional administration. So we continue to analyze and look at alternatives, but since there's a lot of misinformation that's out there, that was not something that was directed for those staff members to do. So I want to make sure we were on the record for that. On a more positive note, using the graduation theme, we've all certainly complimented Selena, and we won't. Yes, I compliment you again for your great efforts, but I want to acknowledge an unsung hero, because although they are new to the platform, Diana Galindo said, "Do we have anybody that can protect the young ladies that are coming up the stage, because she is familiar with them tripping?" Diana was positioned to help people up the stage, and I don't know whether she did something to make people trip, but sure enough, she became the hero on multiple occasions as I looked over seeing Diana helping people. So I want to give acknowledgement to Diana and her foresight to actually protect our students during that great event. So again, it doesn't go unacknowledged. So thank you for your great work there. And then another shout out to our great PIO. She never got this type of publicity for me, but I learned today that they are highlighting in the Inland Empire women who make a difference. And just, she couldn't get the cover, I was told, because they don't allow that. But just on the inside couple of pages, your new superintendent president, Dr. Tani Dotson got a whole full page write-up, and I'll circulate that. And this isn't something that is about to come out. It's actually, look for it. Would you say you're going to a dentist appointment? You're going to go check and make sure it's in the office tomorrow, but this is out, available, and on stands now. And no, I'm not getting a percentage of sales from the Inland Empire magazine. So again, I think it's a testament to Dr. Dotson and also our great work of our PIO and, you know, the recognition of MSJC being a special place and an influencer in the Inland Empire. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Schultz. We're now moving on to item 6, our consent calendar. And before we move on for a motion to approve, do we have any requests to remove any single or multiple items from the consent agenda to be considered individually afterwards?
Yes, Trustee Ashley, I'd like to pull 9.5 for maybe a quick overview.
9.5, okay. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. I would accept a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Chair, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion before we vote? Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. All right, to be considered individually is, so, you know, move to the open agenda now, is item 9.5, the Mount San Jacinto 5-year construction plan, 2028 to 2032. I think Mr. Beckham can maybe give us a minute or two, whatever you need to just tell us a little bit more about this.
You bet. So this item is a routine annual submittal to the Chancellor's Office outlining construction projects that we would like to undertake with the prospect of gaining state support. So the Chancellor's Office uses this report in their advocacy efforts when they're trying to lobby the state legislature for funding for projects in the out years. The plan that's before you this evening has the same priorities that we had outlined last year when we brought the item. The state is prioritizing projects that are modernizations, not net new projects. And last year, I had shared the load capacity ratios for the different kinds of facilities that the college has. And because of our new STEM buildings at the San Jacinto Menifee campus and the capacity we continue to have here in classroom laboratory type buildings, our load capacity ratios don't make any additional projects there competitive. So the only project that fits both that bucket of having a load capacity ratio that's competitive, meaning that there is a need that is demonstrated above the capacity of the current structure, and that also fits within that bucket of being a modernization project because of the age of the building, is the library building at San Jacinto. So we maintain an initial project proposal in with the state to project with them our continued interest in partnering them for funding to replace that building. So I hope that helps to provide some clarity, but this is just an annual submittal to the Chancellor's Office trying to project for them our interest in construction projects in the future.
So it just basically allows you to be on the docket then for the matching funds that would be available, so you're in line.
Absolutely right. You've got it. Yep.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was also looking at this at the same time, but would the building be removed completely and a new building will take its place, or would the building stay intact in another building somewhere else?
So when you ask the state for matching funds for a replacement building, that's generally conditioned on the existing building going away. So the idea isn't to build additional capacity in the system by giving you multiples of the same facility. It's to replace the old facility because of its age for modernization purposes. And so under that kind of scenario, I think it would make sense here to retain the existing building while a new building is getting built, move operations to new building, and then let the old building go. So they do allow staging of construction so that you don't have to bring in swing space unnecessarily. And you can imagine for a library building, that would be a very hard building to replicate on a temporary basis.
Yep. Dr. Schultz would like to add something.
And this is such an important issue moving forward that I know that the board chair has been in consultation with Ms. Morrison to make sure that there is a facilities workshop scheduled early next year so that Dr. Dotson can work with you all moving forward on a comprehensive facilities plan. So this gets you through right now, but this is going to be an ongoing discussion moving forward.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions or any other items to add?
So in its place, we don't know what's like in the same spot. We don't know what's gonna
We
happen.
would probably put it in a new location and then demolish the current building and use it for something else in the future. Use the land for some other purpose.
I think I probably should clarify, just as I did last year, though. So this is just an initial project proposal indicating an interest in that project. There's been no design work whatsoever with architects to have discussions about siting and all of those good things. And the reason I want to make sure I highlight that is I don't want people to leave the meeting today with the impression that a new library building will be sprouting up.
Yeah.
We're trying to compete for state matching funds to make that possible, right? And so this again is just telegraphing at an initial phase an interest in a project that the state would share costs with us. That's usually a very lengthy process to get to a point where there's funding. So I just want to clarify that point.
But
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like getting in line to have the next Olympics, but the next Olympics that you're in line for is in 12 years.
Another question. So preserving the old building, the library right now, would be out of the question for something else?
Yeah, when you ask for modernization funding from the state, you're basically saying this facility is too old to have a useful life in its current state, and that we're asking for support to replace it for that purpose. So you're walking away from that building in exchange for getting funding and assistance for a new one. And my colleague just pointed out, which is very apt. Even if we were starting a library project today, these projects from design to build and all of that, it's many years right out. So even if we were in a position to start with getting state funding, we would have about a 5-year runway from design and all the way through to construction completion. So in any event, and we're not even at that point. So I'm just trying to clarify timeline expectations. We're just telegraphing an interest in this project, and it's really the only project we have at the present time that would be competitive in that competition for state funding.
The document shows it'd be more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, well, with that, we already have a motion and a second, correct? We should have done that. Do we have a motion to approve item 9.5?
Chair, I'll second.
Okay, we have Carpenter and Corona, first and second. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. We're moving on to item 11, the open agenda, human resources. Item 11.1, new position classified. This position's been reviewed to ensure compliance with the 50% law and available funding within the 26-27 budget, utilizing a combination of existing budgeted positions, categorical and other district funds, and other available funding. Do we have a motion to approve?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
11.2, classified appointments, 8 of them. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the classified employee appointments. Do we have a motion?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve.
Chair, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, vote.
Aye.
Aye. 11.3, supervisory confidential appointments. There are 3. It is recommended that the board approve these appointments. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Chair, I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. 11.4, equivalency. We have 1 equivalency request. Do we have a motion to approve?
Make that motion?
Chair, I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
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 Item 12.1, this is business services, adoption of the 2026-27 tentative budget. It's recommended that the board adopt the 26-27 tentative budget and directs the Chief of Administrative Services Controller to file it with Riverside County Superintendent's Office. A public hearing on the adopted budget will be held on September 10th, 2026 prior to adoption. And we do have a presentation on this. Why don't we get a motion and a second, and then this will be considered part of discussion. So do we have a motion to approve?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve the agenda, budget.
Chair, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This is discussion. We're going to hear from our Vice President, Michael Beckham.
All right, well, thank you so much. So happy to present this evening on the governor's May revise for the fiscal year 2026-2027 state budget. Let's maybe turn one of these off. Sorry about that. That might improve matters. And then my colleague will come and present the tentative budget for the college for the next fiscal year. So the first slide summarizes the state budget's development process, and the report I'm giving this evening is on the part of the timeline that's highlighted in green, the release of the governor's May revision. Of course, we're further along than the release of the May revise, and the state legislature is currently undergoing all of the actions that are highlighted in yellow in this timeline, with the ultimate goal of arriving at a budget act for the governor's consideration for signature by June 15th, which is right around the corner. And of course, the last step of the process is in July 1, the beginning of the new fiscal year, which is the implementation of that enacted state budget. This chart prepares the governor's budget proposals for the next fiscal year to the current year enacted budget. The black bars represent the current year enacted budget. The blue bars represent the January budget proposal, and the gray bars represent the May revise. And the left set of bars represent the total state budget, which is the state's general fund and all of its special funds. And you'll notice that the proposed budget at May revise is about 9% greater than the current year enacted budget, coming in at $349.4 billion. If one distills just the state's general funds, that's also up about 8% over the current year enacted, with a budget of about $246.6 billion. Some features of the governor's May revise. So in the January proposal, the governor issued a challenge to his administration, which was to revise the budget plan in May to bring back a balanced budget for both the next fiscal year 2026-27 and the fiscal year thereafter 2027-28. And the governor has taken this approach in the last couple of budget cycles of really trying to stretch the budget window to not just one budget year, but really the year thereafter, I think, to help build confidence in legislature for his budget plan in the next year by trying to make some assurances about the state of the budget in the year thereafter. And the governor's May revision meets the challenge. Updated revenue and spending plans since that January proposed budget has resulted in a budget plan that allows the governor to present balanced budgets for the next fiscal year and the one thereafter. The May revision does not propose any significant new ongoing expenditures. The governor's plan was really to try to preserve progress that had been made earlier in his administration in the areas that I've highlighted here. In the last budget act, the legislature had introduced a new holding account, the projected surplus temporary holding account. This is separate from all of its reserve funds. And the purpose of this fund is to allow the state to take a surplus in one fiscal year, hold on to it and push it forward one fiscal year later. And that account receives its first deposit in this proposal of $9.7 billion. And that's to hold funds from the 2026-27 fiscal year for use in the 2027-28 fiscal year. This chart tracks the trajectories of the state's reserve fund balances. The purple component of this chart is the Special Fund for Economic Uncertainty. I always make fun of that one because the fancy name for the state's ending balance. And you'll notice that there's been a lot of variability in the balance of the state's ending funds. And here we see that there's a large draw being made on that ending balance to balance this year's budget. And we're near the lowest levels that that's been over the time frame that this chart covers. The safety net reserve fund, which is represented by the green component of this chart and as the reserve fund for the state's public welfare programs, was completely withdrawn in the 2024-25 fiscal year and remains at a zero balance with no plans in the near term.
Excuse me,
to do
is that Jerry Brown's fund from back when Governor Brown was governor?
You know,
I think it is.
It very well might be. I don't have the history on that fund, so you got me there. I apologize. You got me, absolutely got me.
I'd like to report on
There's
this
been done. Yay.
in the next meeting to find out if the green line represents Jerry Brown's fund.
There you go.
You're showing your age, Tom.
Are we talking
Take
about,
one to know one.
are we talking about Jerry Brown's first term in the 70s? Or are we talking?
My. A longitudinal history here. And then moving to the budget stabilization account, that's the orange component of this chart. And that's the reserve fund for the state's general fund. And again, you'll notice that there is a slight rebound in the balance of that account, but it's still far below the fund balances that we had in 2022-23 and 2023-24. And then finally, the one that's probably most important to us, which is the public school system stabilization account. This is the reserve for protecting Proposition 98. And the great surprise is that with the unanticipated revenues that came about from the AI profits in the stock market, those revenues actually reversed the last year's Budget Act plan, which was to drain that reserve fund in its entirety to maintain funding for schools, and actually resulted in an additional deposit to that fund. So that was a good place to be. And so we see that, in fact, for the time frame that's covered by this chart, that account balance is at an all-time high. So overall, though, if you take the aggregate of all of these reserve fund accounts, the balance is projected at the end of the 26-27 fiscal year, and the governors may revise as a little more than half of the high water mark for those balances at the beginning of the time series in this chart back in 2022-23. So while there are reserve funds, they're not as robust as they were just a few years ago. Yeah.
I'd like to first announce to the Academic Senate that I use Claude for this information. And Jerry Brown's fund was called the Budget Stabilization Account.
There you go.
Thank you, Claude. And it is represented by the reddish line that's going across the middle top there. So it is still alive and well.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Oh, you've been busy according to ChatGPT. All right. I like this. Continue.
And I believe now that you're kind of bringing some of this history back in my mind, and I believe that these accounts were part of the promise for asking for additional income tax revenues of high income earners. So it was, we're going to increase income taxes and in exchange for that establish reserve funds to try to smooth out revenues over time. So that does make some sense.
And by the way, Academic Senate, Dr. Oberg, I didn't say my source in jest. I was serious. Like that way people know that you're not just remembering it. I think you should let people know when you're like digging into the AI stuff.
I did not use AI for this chart. Okay.
It looks like it. It's a little jagged.
That's the volatility that's in these fund balances. I mean,
okay, I'm sorry.
It's like riding a roller coaster, right? So
you're just trying to get through a financial report here, so it's just.
I know it's not exactly the most painless thing to do. No, I understand. I always share the chart, right, that the Legislative Analyst's Office puts out, where they compare their outlook to the Department of Finance's outlook in out years. And I had shared at the January proposed budget presentation that the LAO and the Department of Finance were both agreeing on large structural deficits in the out years. But some improved news that the Legislative Analyst Office even recognizes as an improvement is that while there are large deficits that remain in the out years, those deficits have been cut nearly in half by the prudent actions that the governor's taken by not adding new programs in the budget proposal. And so we were looking at numbers that were closer to $30 billion in deficits in the out years, with those deficits receding over time. And so that's been trimmed to more like 15 billion at the outset and recessing to the area of about $8 to $10 billion in the years thereafter. The downside about these structural deficits is that by definition, that means that the ongoing expenses for the state are exceeding the ongoing revenues, and that difference is the amount of that structural deficit. And so over time, that means that you have to burn your savings account, your reserve funds, to continue to balance the budget and to make it work. And that's fine as long as there are reserve funds to apply for that purpose. And so that's kind of the cautionary note about structural deficits, and certainly one of the things that locally we look to avoid when we're constructing our budget plans for Mount Cincinnati College. Turning to Proposition 98, this chart has two parts. The upper half, which represents all Proposition 98 programs. So that's the TK through 12 school system with community colleges. And the lower half, which distills just the community college portion of Proposition 98. And you'll notice that compared to the governor's January proposal, there's an increase of about 1.3% net overall. 2.4 to 3% of that coming from the general fund, depending on which part of the Proposition 98 split you're looking at, but being partially offset by decreases in local property tax revenues. Median home prices have been coming down in value, and of course that has an impact on property tax valuations and property tax collections overall. And so that additional support is being offset slightly by that reduction. And now turning to the student-centered funding formula, which of course is the formula that allocates the lion's share of ongoing operating revenues to community colleges statewide. The May revise puts the student-centered funding formula at $10.7 billion. That plan includes a 4.31% cost of living adjustment, and this was a real surprise because the cost of living adjustment estimate in January was about 2.3%. And of course, with the Middle East conflict driving up gasoline prices, which is a basic input into our economy, and so you see those price increases reverberate into other categories of goods, the statutory calculation went up to 2.87%. That part I expected. The 1.44% discretionary, I did not expect. And so this is the governor proposing going above and beyond, I think partially in recognition of the fact that the calculation of the cost of living adjustment in the statute is backward looking. And as a consequence, when you have inflation occurring, underestimates that inflation. So I think that there was some sympathy to that. And it was also an opportunity to bring about progress on paid pregnancy disability leave. And so as a condition of receiving the discretionary cost of living adjustment, community colleges will be required to provide all employees with up to 14 weeks of paid pregnancy disability leave beginning in the next fiscal year. The second part of the increase to the student-centered funding formula is the 1.5% growth. It's the same proposal the governor had in the January proposal. 1% of that would be applied to the current fiscal year. It's very ironic to operate all year and you have all the expenses. And then at the end of the fiscal year, in the Budget Act, there's a proposal to increase revenues for that year, and then the remaining 0.5% in the next fiscal year, so a combined increase of 1.5%. This chart summarizes the state's ongoing policy adjustments in the May revised plan, and you'll notice that the largest component of increased ongoing funding comes from the cost of living adjustment, followed up by the enrollment growth. I think another surprise to many was the increased support for Calbright in the governor's budget plan, which moves that up to almost 3 times the level of support that it's currently getting by adding an additional $38.1 million in funding.
Boo.
Right. And then the governor's plan calls for just a 2.41%. So this is the COLA without the discretionary part being applied to selected categorical programs. There's some murmurs about that perhaps getting extended to additional categorical programs. I hope that it does, but that was not a part of the current plan. And then turning to one-time increases in funding, the largest component here is a deferral repayment of funding that's actually owed to colleges as part of balancing the budget for the current fiscal year. The administration was deferring payments to community colleges, and so they are providing the one-time funding in the next fiscal year to actually repay that deferral. The next largest component is deferred maintenance. That would be the first time deferred maintenance has seen funding in a good number of years, more than just a few. And so it's a paltry amount at $120.7 million. That's statewide, but we'll take anything that we can get. And this is where I'll turn the presentation over to my colleague, Stacy Kimbrough, our Chief Administrative Services Officer and Controller. For years, I've gotten to stand here and present the fine work that's led by Stacy and her team. And this year, I would like her to present the fine work that she and her team put together. So please do.
So first I want to say, you guys are both right about that. The safety net, it was Jerry Brown was the last in office, and it was actually set up for a Medi-Cal and CalWorks.
Safe, was it? I think it had a nickname, Rainy Day Fund.
Rainy Day Fund. It was the start of it because at the start in like 2011, when he was elected, that was his thing. He wanted to bring down the deficit and build this like great rainy day fund, which is great. Yes. So everybody was right on that one. It was Jerry Brown's. It just had different names and it was called a variety of different things throughout the 7 years of all of this stuff he implemented. So associated with the MSJC's tentative budget, which is what everybody's looking forward to. It's one of the highlights of June, what we like to bring out. Like Mike talked about, the student centers funding fund allowed for a lot of revenue for us this year, which is really nice. Our total budget we're looking at for tentative is $426 million, of which almost 50%, 49.8% is our unrestricted general fund associated with both the board reserve as well as the general fund, which is the top two. And then the additional associated with the funding that comes from the state is about 13%, which is our 12 fund, which is the grants. Those are the ones we've run into issues with that are not getting some of the COLA. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So those are the ones we look at very tightly. The bulk of our budget, the higher funds that are in the $50 million range, those are each about 13%. So those large buckets make up the large portion of our budget.
So before we move on to the next slide, just for clarification purposes, because I do this every budget year, the board special reserve is required by state law, correct?
It is recommended. And we agreed to it, but for the economic, nope, I'm not going to get it right. Economic conditions allowance, correct. And the recommendation is 3 months of a reserve, which is 16.7%, and we keep ours at 17%.
Very good. Thank you.
And we do separate it out, and it is recorded differently in our funds so that it is recognized separate. So it can't be touched without board approval. So I'm gonna mess this up. Nope. I did. Thought I was gonna mess it up. To the right. To the right. Ah, there we go. Okay. She got that right away. It took me time to get that. 6. Yeah, and then I'm a fast learner. So like Mike talked about, the COLA that we're implementing for budget, these are the basic parameters that we use each year when we roll over the budget, and some things that we automatically implement when we're doing it. So we take the COLA, originally what? Can't hear me? I am not as tall as Mike. I have like 3-inch heels and I'm still not tall enough. So there's standard things that we do when we do our budget and we do our rollover. We take the base budget from prior and then we implement any of the changes and things that we know of each year. Like Mike said, we have the 4.31% COLA that we roll over, and then we do a standard 3% deficit. This deficit has been decided over averages over the course of 5 to 10 years of what the state comes in with over our P1, our P2, and our recalcs of what our deficits are. This allows for the district to limit what our risk is of over budgeting and overspending what our actual costs are based off of what the revenue will come in. And then we also do our expenses in the same way. Step and columns automatically occur for the majority of our staff. So we incorporate those into our budgets as well as our PERS and STIRS increases and any of the benefit increases as well. Health and welfare is typically a really large increase to the district, as well as any of the other benefit cost increases. Those typically are unemployment insurance as well as workers' comp insurance that are direct costs to the district. I don't know why I'm looking here when it's starting in front of my face. Categorical grants also are budgeted 95% if we do not already know what the allocation or the GAN amount is awarded to us. And then we fund for specific projects and facilities projects that we already know of. This year, the primary ones are the Menifee and San Jacinto secondary effects, the San Jacinto gym, HVAC, Brian. Signage and wayfinding for the campuses, especially since the new buildings have been put in. We have a lot of students that staff as well that need a little bit of guidance on where the new buildings are, the facilities, things like that, and then other scheduled maintenance projects. If you go through our tentative budget, there's a lot of documents, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of information. And if you're not an accountant, sometimes it gets a little overwhelming to know what everything means. I'll be more than happy to explain to anybody at any given time if you want to know. It's not always the most exciting reading. So what we like to do is provide in our budget document, which you guys provided, just a summary of what everything means. It's very important to know ongoing versus one time. So we provide this breakdown of where were we at and where we're at now. So our ongoing expenses are representative of what the revenues that we're going to bring in during this fiscal year. The one time is our carryover from a prior year. Or if in some instances we have one-time funding. Fortunately, we're looking at 26-27. We don't have one-time funding coming into our standard general account this year, which is great. In prior year, we did have some one-time funding we were recognizing because the state was funding some of our revenue, ongoing revenue they were calling it, from a one-time source. We separated that out in prior years and looked at it from only a one-time perspective in case there was a chance that we only had that as a one-time expense from the state. Fortunately, that does not seem to be occurring this year as of right now. And in comparison, we do the same thing with our expenditures to ensure that our expenses match in the same way that our revenue does. We always want to make sure that our ongoing expenses are less than or equal to our ongoing revenue so that we're not deficit budgeting. These are some of the fun charts that we like to provide so that you guys can see how they're broken down. This is broken down by division. You always want to see the instruction one on the largest side because this makes sure that we're 50% compliant because of the way in which we're required to spend our funds. 50% must be for instructional salaries. This is a breakdown of how it is allocated by campus. One thing I like to point out is district-wide. A lot of people question why we have such a huge expense by district-wide versus some of the other campuses is that all of our support areas are allocated as district-wide because they support the district as a whole, regardless of what campus they sit at. So IT, institutional effectiveness, business services, and human resources. By type is the next. This is a popular slide. Academic salaries. All salaries as a whole are 87% of our total budget. This is a number that we keep a very close eye on. This is a very big impact when it comes to negotiations and 7%. Any of our budgets that come in and things like that. So it's a very large number. I'm looking at Diane on that one. She's not hiding her poker face. This is the special reserve, the board reserve that we brought up about the 17%. So you'll notice in this one, it's a little bit different than in prior year. What I want to point out is that the board special reserve that we previously had for the STIRS, PERS, and OPEB is showing 0 for 25-26 and 26-27. The reason for this is that we transferred the funds out of this reserve in order to fund the pre-funded liability for the OPEB and the STIRS that we are moving from a static account into a interest earning trust. Both for OPEB, we already have done the transfers. And then on the last board agenda in May, we got approval to open up the STIRS and PERS through PARS to start getting that trust funded. So the OPEB we'd had for a number of years, but we actually were able to fully fund it in 25-26. Whereas for the STIRS and PERS, we're actually just opening it this fiscal year. Okay.
And the goal and the purpose of that is to serve our employees better long-term as opposed to,
So what it does is it moves the funds out of the current accounts that they sit in and that have very, very little interest earning into a irrevocable trust that we can withdraw from as needed, but it's a higher interest yield. And it makes it to where if the district gets into a fiscal situation to where we need to withdraw, we have the funds and it earns at a higher rate. So we're actually making more money off of the funds instead of them just sitting in an account where you're making minimal.
And thank you for that explanation, because I think that there's a lot of people who listen through some of these board meetings, and that's an element that may have been missed. So thank you for addressing that.
And then our funded FTEs versus our actual FTEs. This one I like, especially because Mike ended with the growth about how they're funding the 1.5% growth, but they're going backwards into 25, 26, and only a portion of it for 26, 27. This number actually represents the disparity between the growth that we think we're still not going to get funded for, even if we get that 0.5% growth for 26, 27. So we're still looking at about 350 FTEs that we will not get funded for 26, 27. And it's still about 450 that we aren't going to get funded for 25, 26, even with that 1% going back to 25, 26. So we have quite a bit of unfunded growth still. So we're pushing really for the state to provide more growth funding. So, all right, any questions? All right, thank you.
Nope, I don't think so.
And
Thank you.
Mike's sources. And then I'm not going to break this.
Appreciate it. Well, we already have a motion and a second. And is there any other questions on the budget before we vote? Okay, student trustee, please vote on the budget.
I approve.
Trustees, please vote. Aye.
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 It's 4-0 with one missing. Okay, we're on to item 13, open agenda, Board of Trustees, 13.1, board and student, pay attention, student trustee, board and student member compensation. The Mount San Jacinto College Board of Trustees receives monthly compensation as prescribed by California Ed Code Section 72024 and Board Policy 2725. On an annual basis, the Board of Trustees may increase the compensation of individual board members beyond the limits delineated in California Ed Code in an amount not to exceed 5% based on the present monthly rate of compensation. Any increase made pursuant to this section shall be effective upon approval by the Board of Trustees. It is requested that the board consider an increase, wait for it, from $420 to $441 effective, that's per month, effective July 1st, 2026. In order to maintain alignment in monthly compensation received, this increase would also apply to the student trustee compensation. Do we have a motion to approve?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve.
Chair, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees vote. Aye.
Aye.
13.2, consolidation of governing board election and order of election for November 3rd, 2026. In accordance with Cal Ed Code Section 5340, the county superintendent of schools is providing notice to the governing boards of schools and community college districts that a consolidated election is required to be held on November 3rd, 2026. The attached order of election resolution, which also contains the specifications of the election order and request for consolidation, was provided to assist districts in meeting the requirements of Ed Code Sections 5304, 5322, and 5340, and Section 1302B3 of Elections Code. Budget implications. The estimated cost for MSJC governing board election for November 3rd, 2026 has been budgeted in the 26-27 budget. So there is money for it. So it is recommended that the Board of Trustees adopt the resolution ordering the consolidated governing board member biennial election. specifications of the election order and request for consolidation. Do we have a motion to approve?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. By the way, if democracy is a wonderful thing, if someone decides to run against our trustees that are open to run, I believe it costs several $100,000 on our part for each election that we have to fund. So the registrar of voters in Riverside County just sends us a bill for, I don't know, $380,000. And one time we had it's more this year.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And sometimes we've had like phantom people who put really for a single election more than 400,000.
So he's saying.
We've had someone just threw their name in once and we never saw them or heard of them again, and we paid for it. Well, in that time, it was probably 300,000. But so we hope that if anyone does run, that they run a serious campaign and they really want to win, because that's a lot of wasted money if people aren't serious about trying to become a trustee. Okay. That's my discussion. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. We're moving to item 14, where are comments of individuals, groups, delegations limited to non-agenda items. Are there anyone that's speaking on non-agenda items? I see that there's not. So we're moving on to item 15. 15 as adjournment. 15.1, adjournment. The next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees is in just 2 weeks from tonight at 4 p.m. here at Temecula Valley campus, 3rd floor. Boardroom TA 301. We always live stream on YouTube. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Chair, I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Happy Father's Day.
Hey, that's a good one. Happy Father's Day. Enjoy the World Cup. I was able to eat lunch at Casa Jimenez today as a treat at noon in Paris. And Mexico took down South Africa 2-0. There were 3 red cards, unbelievable number of red cards for an opening game. It was amazing. It was like, I love that experience. And then I had to get back to work. And also for our NBA fans out there, we're having an amazingly competitive finals. So it's a great year to be a sports fan, everyone. And so with that, go Dodgers. And I call for the vote. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry about that partisan sports crack at the end there, but I couldn't help it. Good night, everyone.
Good night.